Well, boys, I figured I'd update you on my 110,000 mile mark. It came quick and it came hard. So, figured I'd show you what it takes as far as maintenance goes. This radiator went south in the corner. Y'all be careful when you're pulling up the curbs. I feel like that's what did it for us. Well, my wife ended up coming too close to one of them curbs, bent a few things under here. You know, you got your oil cooler down here. Didn't tear anything, didn't break anything, but I think that's what did a number on it. So I got a leakage in here. I was suspecting it was a hose, but it turned out to be. Oh, you have a hose hanging out right here. So, I mean, I know this radiator's upside down, so you have a hose hanging right here, 2 hoses, oils. I mean, they're a little moist or a little wet, but they weren't dripping or anything. I always kept an eye on it. And for the last 30,000, they're just, you know, sweating a little bit. Well, lately I noticed on the plastic panel, I know I'm talking upside down here, but the plastic panel, it's quite a bit moist. Nothing's dripping, nothing's running. And I was under there about a week ago, so I'm like, oh, it's time to change the hoses. Well, I didn't make it too far. 2 days later, I started losing a lot of coolant and came down to, this isn't holding anymore. Well, while I got the radiator out, I figured I'd do something. Well, good thing I did. Even in the process of it, I was thinking to myself, man, I probably should have never touched this water pump. Because, I mean, all this had to go. At the same time, I'm going to do the thermostat. So, here's the good part. The fact that I tore into the thermostat. On the back side, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. You see that line? Not that crap. That line right there. That's the blades touching. You could tell all around they just started touching. Now, if you were just to let your serpentine loose, and here, let me zoom out. And like I do, check my bearings, and wiggle. There's minimal wiggle, no big deal, but that's what it comes down to. 110,000. Y'all should do your thermostat while on your water pump. I guess your radiator, if you're like me, your radiator goes first. You got all this room in here. I'll do a ride along video. I know, guys, I know. The only time I'm showing you this car when it's on jack stands and it has a bunch of issues, but the car hasn't really let me down. Besides my stupidity with the transmission, I screwed that one up. I could say this is the first time I'm starting to pay the price for having a higher mileage car. And all around Mercedes, these cars have not let us down. Besides, there's one besides a manufacturer defect. They took a whole decade to man up to it. It's the fuel tank. My fuel tank cracked on this thing as well, and the fuel lids. I went out of my way, and when I had the issue, they weren't willing to pay for anything or do any recalls. So first I had the fuel lids crack on me, so I went ahead and paid out of pocket for the 2 fuel pumps. But it's part of an assembly, so you get the lids as well. Just because of the lids, I had to buy the fuel pumps. Well, 2 years later, my fuel tank cracked. Kept getting error code come up, check your fuel cap. Well, at that point, I was just too busy in life, so I just took it down to the dealership, and the dealership said, hey, Paul, you're in luck. There's finally a recall on this thing, so we're going to need your car in about a week. We got the part ordered for you, so come by and we'll swap you out. Well, I was lucky. They actually reimbursed me from spending, $1,500 in parts, a few years ago. So, yeah, that's my story. But anyways, as I was saying, I'll do a ride along one of these days, show you and talk about this car a little bit more. I'm finally getting my time back a little, if you know what I mean by that. Finally having the opportunity to settle down a little bit and have me time. So once I get that, I'll show you guys around this car a little bit more and just show y'all what it takes to run one of these. Now, those 2 hoses that I was talking about, I got them hanging right here. I'm trying to get all the oil out of it as much as I can. So the way this thing works, here, keep in mind, it sits like this, okay? It goes into your housing. I'll show you what part. So, somewhat like that. Well, guys, I'm doing a horrible job here. Let me show you the real deal. You see the fan? you guys get the picture. You know, he snaps in there, hangs in here. Well, that's what I was talking. This is the part that I was talking about. You see how it's all moist there? Well, I don't know if the video's doing it justice. Zoom in. All that grime and stuff, that's oily. Oh, this whole side is oily because of this. Because of these two. Oh shoot! Because of those two connections. And these right here. Well, this is me with my coolant and whatnot. These two hookups go right here. I'll show you. I just want you guys to get the whole picture because I'm a bit confusing. Plug them off here. Man, I made a mess out of this thing. So once I'm ready, I'll wipe off this thing, install the water pump, the housing, and hose this thing down real nice before I install it. So I'll show you guys the finished product. And yeah, that's about it. Pain in the neck. I personally think it's well worth it. While you're in there, change out your lower and upper hose because that's what I'm gonna do. Plastics get real brittle. You'll start breaking stuff with very minimal force. On the bottom side, you can see how I broke it should be fine. I yanked on the upper side. Seems like it'll keep it right in there. And if anything, guys, on something like this, you really don't want to risk it if it's way the heck in there. But on a reservoir, that's so simple to change out. Worst comes to worst, you'll just swap it out. No big deal. And once again, this is a little breather tube. There ain't no high pressure. Well, there's pressure in here, but it's nothing crazy. Anyways, that's it. I think that's about it for me. I'll keep you all updated, and as I promised, I'll take you on a ride along and show you. I know there's a little bit of goodies I could show off. I'll actually do a real world test and review on this. For some reason, I've seen video guys of installing them, but they never come back with a review. And I'll talk a little bit about my goodies and not just show you that I've installed them, actually tell you what I've experienced and how they've, real world stuff. None of this advertising horse crap. No one's paying me for this, so I got no point of sugarcoating Jack. Anyways, y'all behaving as always. Have a mighty fine day.